Okay, I just did the rear brake pads on the 05 Ford Escape Hybrid. Now we're going to tackle the fronts. And there's all kinds of cool stuff on the internet about how to deactivate your brake activation system. The one that makes all that noise when you first touch the car, or sometimes it'll make noise even when you're not around. And what you need to do is deactivate that system very simply by disconnecting the battery cable. And yes, you're going to have to reset your radio and your other nonsense in your clock, but it's what you need to do to keep that system from accidentally activating while you're working on the brakes. Now then, while we're in the engine compartment, this is our brake fluid reservoir, and it's overflowing as I put new pads in there. What happens is the pads get thinner and thinner and get closer together, and behind them is the brake fluid. And as the brake fluid comes in behind there, this level goes lower and lower. Well, when you put in new brake pads, the brake pads are thicker, and the fluid has to go someplace. It goes back up into the reservoir, and it's overflowing. And rather than take this apart, I'm just mopping up the excess brake fluid rather than potentially mess with that hose. Anyway, the point is that if you have low brake fluid level in your reservoir, there's a reason for it. You've got thin pads or you got a leak. Just don't arbitrarily put brake fluid in the reservoir to top it off to the level that says on the side, you know, between max and minimum. Find out why you've got an issue. Now we're going to go see what thin brake pads look like and the difference. And here's side by side. Okay, you can see the difference in thickness. And as these pads get thin, the fluid level drops. And so when you put in new pads, you have to separate the caliper, and the piston rather. You have to separate the piston, squeeze it back out, and that fluid goes back up the hose, back into the reservoir, and next thing you know, you're overflowing brake fluid. So don't let pinheads just arbitrarily install brake fluid. Now let me see if I can get this set up. Oh yeah, tools. You're gonna need some following tools. All right, just to make your life even more difficult, you need a 9mm Allen wrench and a pry bar, and then you need to pay attention to your maybe a screwdriver to help pry stuff off. And then pay attention to what you're getting in the kit. So pull your pads out. Here's the new pads. Also, I'm going to use some Teflon, some super lube. Anyway, so get your pads out. I already know these are going to work, but get them out and make sure that they're the ones that go for your car. And there are differences. A hybrid stuff is different from other cars, so you have to be careful. And what you're going to notice is this massive spring right here. Another brilliant idea from the minds of Ford engineers. And that is this thing right here. And what you need to notice is it goes in like this, and it's got a hook right here. So that hook is inside there. So you just can't snap this thing off. You have to pry it out. And I'm going to do that now and see if you can set the camera up where you can watch this activity. Let's see if I can get this set up to where you can see what's going on there. I think you can see what's going on. Okay, so you have to pry this thing out of its little cubby hole here, and I've done it once before. Okay, so you get that hook out of there, and then there we go. That was it. That was the ticket. All right, remember how this goes on there? Just goes on and pushes against. So just to repeat, goes on just like that. Okay, so holding the caliper to the cradle. Next thing we're going to do is take our 9mm Allen. Well, next thing we're going to do is go in here, take a look. We're going to be removing these plugs right here, which keep dirt out of the bolts very nicely. There's the other one down here. Okay, let's see if you can see what I'm going to do. side here. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is unscrew this. And as you get further along, get that thing out of there. You got threads up in here. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. See the threads coming out here? Well, this thing is going to be sticking and it's not going to come out easily. So as you're rotating, you pry it out. There we go. Now what we're getting out is this pin, and you notice it's grungy, so we're going to clean that up in a minute. And we go back up here, do the same thing. There we go. Let's see if can you see that or not. No, let me reposition this. It's not a very good tripod, that's for sure. All right. Same thing up here. Unscrew this, pry it out. Didn't want that plug to come out of there. Okay, put the plug back in there and pry the bolt out. Come on. The other side didn't do this. God almighty. Just want to find out who designs this stuff. And I'll just pull the plug out and remove them. Plug back in. Okay, this is what came out. I don't know why. Just out of all the other calipers, this is the only one that came out on. I'm going to use both hands. Okay, not a big deal, but a deal. All right, I'm going to take these and clean them up. So, okay, take these and clean them up. Take me a couple minutes, so talk amongst yourselves. clean pins, and we're gonna lube them up in a little bit, but first let's consider pulling the caliper off and getting some pads installed. So let's see where we are in the process here in terms of the camera angle. It's a little bit better. All right, this should just come off. Depends on its mood. Off we come. All right, now then, get this up here so we don't have any weight on our hose. And we're going to remove the pad. All right, now then, what we're going to do is use this tool here, but you can use a big old C-clamp. And we're going to get it set up. Alright, so what this does is pushes the piston back in so we can make room for the new pads. And at the same time pushing the brake fluid back up the system and going over the top of the reservoir because people didn't know what they were doing. So, and in fact you can see it dripping underneath there. It's too bad. Okay. I don't need to go this far, but it makes it easier to install. It's not going to hurt anything. Alright. We got clearance. Alright, let's see if we can install some pads. All right. Stupid thing. Get out of it, Marty. This one of these looks like the Michelin Man tripods. Piece of crap. All right, let's see if you can even see up here. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take this pad and install it. Takes some effort, so I'm going to put the camera down, force it into here. Got it. The other one just slips in, interestingly enough. So let's go over to this side, see if we can see something. Okay. Bring this down. Alright, so we're in. Oh, this pad never came out, so let's get that one out right now. Put the new one in. Alright. Now we're in shape here. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is coat these pins with some high-tech, high-temperature lubricant. There's the camera lens. There we go. Alright. Excellent. Now this one goes in. We haven't, just not getting them in the rubber. Alright, got plenty of slop on there. Okay, get our socket on here. Try to get one of these started. In addition to being stiff in the rubber, you never know if you're in the getting threads started. Down here, take a look. Alright, in and not cross-threading, so 3 cheers for us. Not going to tighten it down all the way. Going to go to the top. Get this bolt started. Now this one, come on, get in there. Now these are slightly spring-loaded. You can see it moving, so you need to put a little pressure on it when you're trying to find your bolt hole. Tight. Come on. Son of a bitch. Alright. Make sure you didn't unloosen it. Alright. Down here, don't forget to tighten this one again. Alright. Alright. Tight. Clear this area. Now under our big spring. Okay. Let's see if you can see that. Where are we putting the camera here? Where's the caliper? Okay, the camera gets pointed over here. Let's see. Let's see if this is where we're gonna be looking here. Okay. Now you can see where we're working. What you're going to do is stick this like this. That in there. Alright, hang on. Okay, there you go. Now like that. This comes around like this. And got a wrong spot. Okay, put this one over here. And then get this to go in. Damn it. Once again. Thanks engineers, for a crappy ass system. Okay. That is it. Just change some pads. Good luck.